All right, it's Saturday. That means it's football time in Tennessee. I'm a University of Tennessee alumni from quite a long time ago, 30 years this December. I graduated from the University of Tennessee with my undergrad. Then I got my MBA much later from Louisiana State University. Anyways, today we're going to talk about product market fit and 5 different ways you can unblock it. If you're not thinking about product market fit with your business, then that's where you're really missing out. Product market fit is very important. We're going to talk about it here in just a minute, kind of the differences between that and things like platform market fit. I've talked about problem market fit before, but today we're going to talk about product market fit and why it matters for your business and 5 ways you can unblock it, because the goal isn't just product market fit, it's sustained product market fit, meaning you want to find product market fit and keep it. And the reason you want to keep it is because the longer it takes for you to even find product market fit and then hold on to it, you're just burning through time on your business when you really need to be scaling. If you're a startup, there's stats out there that say it can take anywhere from 18 to 24 months just to find product market fit. That's why a lot of you need to raise capital, because you're busy iterating, building products, trying to figure out exactly what customers want in the marketplace and that they're willing to pay you for. And so that's really something you have to think about. One of the other things to think about in finding and keeping product market fit is everything evolves so quickly. Now, the best example of that is AI. If you think about it, new tools for AI are coming out every single day. I'm in a bunch of different Slack groups with other professionals, and just this morning, some of us were talking about how AI is evolving so quickly, it's almost impossible to keep up. A guy had posted that he was vibe coding and he was trying to figure out which tools to use, and he just couldn't figure it out because there were so many different choices and he felt like he had decision fatigue. So AI is evolving so quickly that these AI companies that feel like they find product market fit, many of them, not the top tier ones, but many of them find product market fit, but then they can lose it very quickly. We get things like evolving customer needs, you get new entrants coming into the marketplace, you have technological shifts. All this really changes product market fit. So it's really something to think about. And what Reforge calls this is product market fit collapse, where basically you have product market fit, but then things come in and enter the marketplace and kind of create a scenario where you were climbing and growing and you're dipping back down. So there's no easy way to fix when you stall out on product market fit, but I'm going to give you these 5 different ways that you can think about this. And the first one is you should think about a well-identified ICP. Now, if you've seen other videos, you already know what I mean by ICP. That's ideal customer profile. This is also called target user persona, things like that, but I use the word ICP. The acronym ICP, ideal customer profile. You need to have a well-defined ICP. That's the first way to unblock not getting to product market fit. I was talking to a founder the other day and via email, and I said, who is your ICP? And he came back and said, Asia. Asia is not an ICP. Asia is a market. Asia is a place where you're going to market your business. There are people that live there, but Asia is not your ICP. In fact, your ICP is a very detailed customer profile that you know intimately. That's a word I use a lot when I talk about ICPs. You know them intimately. So if you have not downloaded my free user persona, my free ICP template, I'll put a link in the chat. You can have that for free, download it, and use it to help you develop your ICP. If you're stuck, if you're not finding growth in your business, go back and revisit your ICP and make sure you know it intimately. The second way to unblock yourself when you're not finding product market fit is to identify the right sales motions. Now, whether you're B2B, meaning you're selling to consumers, or you're B2B, you're selling to businesses, the sales motions that you use in that are very different. So let's think about cereal ads. So if you like cereal, I'm not a cereal eater other than oatmeal just about every morning. Love my overnight oats. But if you're a cereal eater, you'll know that the ads are usually targeted at kids, but that's not who they're selling to. They're selling to the moms. That's why they use words like nourishing or healthy or something like that. So you have to think about having the right sales motions for the right ICP. Think about those things. If you're in B2B sales, this is going to be totally different. You're probably going to not be selling online as much. You might have SDRs or sales development reps that actually cold call and knock doors and make cold phone calls and things like that. That's a totally different sales motion. So if your product growth is stalling out, think about the sales motions you're using They could be misaligned. That's another place you can change things up to unblock product market fit. The third way you can think about this is you may be using the wrong pricing strategies. So in my world, in B2B SaaS and FinTech sales, what we use is something called list price, which will be the public price that something is priced at. But then we know deep down that we're going to be willing or actually need to discount to compete against our competitors. And that's a pricing strategy that we use. Another thing that we use is we bundle products together. Our ICP is financial institutions, banks, and credit unions, and they buy lots of different products. They don't just buy one product like buying one car. You couldn't bundle cars together and have a very efficient sales motion because not a large percentage of buyers are buying multiple cars at the same time. Unless you're selling fleet sales, that's a totally different scenario. But in individual consumer car buying, if you tried to bundle cars together, it wouldn't work as effectively. But in my industry, it works really well to bundle products together because it's a known fact that the ICP buys multiple products at the same time. And when you do that, you can bundle them together. They feel like they're getting a win because you provide a discount, but you're selling multiple products, makes it more sticky. So that's the third way that you can unblock product market fit, is by getting the right pricing strategies in place. So if things are struggling, you're not scaling like you should be, take a look at your pricing strategies, see what's going on there. The fourth one is to leverage KPIs. I talked to a lot of founders that just don't have the data about their go-to-market strategies and how they are performing. So think about KPIs. Now you have to have the right KPIs. So for example, let's say you want to be an influencer on YouTube, which is not my plans, but maybe it's yours. If you want to be an influencer, certainly you're going to care about the number of people that subscribe to your channel. But most people understand that that's what's called a vanity metric. What you really want is KPIs, key performance indicators, that help you make money, because that's really the goal for most people having channels, right? So what are the KPIs that matter? Beyond subscribers, you should be thinking about things like engagement. So YouTube, it really matters how long people stay and watch your video. How long your video is. That's why people sometimes drag videos out, and they shouldn't. That's why I move so fast in videos. So engagement, like comments and things like that, those are key KPIs that you should be tracking. If you're in B2B sales, you should be tracking the number of prospects that you talk to, the number percentage of those that you close, the percentage of those that buy multiple products from you, those types of things. So if your product market fit is struggling, if you're not seeing the sales and the growth that you want, make sure you're tracking the right KPIs. If you follow those, you should be okay. Now, finally, the last piece, the fifth way to unblock product market fit, is to think about new verticals. So in an industry, you'll have multiple verticals within an industry. And if you're targeting this vertical, but it's not quite going like you expect it to go, what I would recommend to you is that you revisit other verticals. Think about targeting other verticals. So maybe you think about targeting a niche of a specific ICP in the industry. Maybe it's doctors. For some reason, you have a medical solution and you've been targeting doctors as your ICP, as your vertical that you're going after. Maybe it's not going well, and after looking at the KPIs, you start to realize that, well, it's not the doctors that you've been doing well with, it's the nurses. Maybe you shift your sales approach, your pricing strategies, all those things over to that vertical within the industry. That will often unlock you, but it just requires all the steps above, all the right KPIs, all the right pricing strategies, all understanding the ICP, all these different things. It requires all of that. If you are curious about how your go-to-market strategies measure up, I'm going to put a link to my go-to-market assessment tool in the comments. Take that. It'll give you some suggestions on where you stand, and it'll give you suggestions on how to improve. Thanks for spending time with me today. Hope you have a great weekend. Go Vols. Hope we beat Arkansas.